And right now, we are 2 minutes away from the end of the trading day. Romaine Bostick here with Katie Greifeld, taking you through to that closing bell. It's a global simulcast. Carol Massar, Tim Stenovec, they join us from the radio booth. Welcome to our audiences across all of our Bloomberg platforms, television, radio, our partnership with YouTube. Here on this Monday afternoon, a mixed day for financial markets with the S&P in the red, the NASDAQ even deeper in the red, though we are seeing some of those cyclical and economically sensitive sectors, as evidenced by the Dow and the Russell, Carol Massar, in the green.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. I'm glad you mentioned the Russell. I mean, it was up as much as 1.2% today, still looking about a 0.9 of 1 percentage point gain as we get ready to wrap up this trade on this Monday. So, yeah, you just got to kind of look and dig a little bit deeper, right? And you see some gain, even though the market feels a little blah today.
Well, oil under pressure today, down 2.9% for Brent. WTI, Katie, down about 2%. Still above $74 a barrel for WTI. Brent futures, $78 a barrel. Yes, down from those highs just a few weeks ago, but still not quite what we were seeing and what the market was seeing before February 28th.
You know what's not blah today is the small caps. The Russell 2000, your outperformer, higher by about 0.8%, maybe getting some relief from the oil picture, as Tim mentioned, but you do have rates moving higher, so who knows?
Rates moving higher, so too is the dollar, and believe it or not, so too is the VIX, so right around the 17 handle there. A mixed picture for the cross-asset space and a mixed picture for the benchmark U.S. equity indices. It looks like the Dow Jones Industrial Average is going to be out in front on the day, up about 160-plus points, but it is going to close just a little bit shy of its record high. The S&P 500 down about 0.4% on the day. The NASDAQ Composite down 1.3%. The NASDAQ 100 only down about 0.2% on the day. And you do have green across the screen for Dow Transports, the S&P 400 mid-caps, and the Russell 2000. The Russell 2000 up about 0.8%.
All right, guys, back to the S&P 500. Almost an even split, Katie. 266 names higher on this Monday, 236 lower, and you've got one unchanged.
All right, let's take a look at the sector breakdown. It was interesting to see more gainers than losers on the individual level. It was a similar story when you take a look at the circle here. Healthcare was your biggest points contributor. You also saw real estate and energy rally in a big way. But in terms of what took a chunk out of the benchmark, you can see information technology, a deep red there in terms of the sector performance, and communication services, consumer discretionary certainly didn't help either.
All right, let's get to some of the individual gainers. Number one in the S&P 500 is Supermicro. That stock jumping as much as 20% intraday, finishing the day with about a 15.7% increase. We did see intraday the biggest move, or the most, in more than a month. This is after GF Securities raised its rating on the server maker to buy from hold. The analyst there, Evan Lee, sees higher AI server visibility, while recent weakness has created, quote, an attractive entry point as the underlying demand fundamentally strengthens its long-term growth. Again, those are the analyst's words. He also, orders from SpaceX should accelerate in 2027, said Evan Lee, the analyst there, who has a $48 price target on the stock. So that was about a 57% increase from Supermicro's closing price on June 18th. So you can see the stock closing today at $35.46 a share, so still below that $48 a share price target. Stock's up more than 20% year to date. So we have seen some movement in 2026. All right, this is a name it feels like everybody's talking about today. Getty Images Holdings, ticker is GETY. That stock a gain of about 90% in today's session. It did soar as much as 145% earlier in this session. This is after the company announced a licensing deal with OpenAI. Getty said that images from its library will appear in the search and discovery features of ChatGPT, making a key reversal for the firm specifically. The companies did not talk about financial terms or disclose any details over whether Getty's images would be used to train future OpenAI models. The partnership with OpenAI could improve licensing optics and shift the narrative on the stock. This is according to one analyst. over at benchmark. But nonetheless, quite an outperformer in today's session. And then, I hope I'm saying this right, Apogee Therapeutics, APGE. So a little bit of deal flow today. AbbVie agreeing to buy Apogee Therapeutics for $10.9 billion to bolster its anti-inflammatory drug portfolio. The share price reflecting a roughly 49% premium to Apogee's closing price on Thursday. So again, we continue to see, I feel like, deals within the pharmaceutical space, whether it's looking for a big company looking to kind of fill out its pipeline. So let's look at some of my gainers today.
All right, well, speaking of deals.
Romaine, you're so quiet.
He's focused on what you're saying.
All right.
Okay.
You mean those days when he interrupts me, he's not focused?
No.
Is that what you're saying?
I'm going to jump in with some decliners. Shares of Alphabet down today by just over 5%. It was the worst performing of the Mag 7. Actually, the worst day, intraday going back to February of this year. It's a talent war that sparked some of this sell-off, at least. The company lost a second prominent AI researcher as Google DeepMind Vice President John Jumper said Friday he was leaving for Anthropic. If his name sounds familiar, he won the 2024 Nobel Prize in Chemistry for his work on AI. We also did see last week one of Google's most prominent researchers said he was leaving for rival OpenAI. SpaceX shares fell for a third day in a row. The company said it's selling investment-grade bonds for the first time to fund its AI ambitions. Shares at $154.60. They fell today by 16.4%. The company looking to raise at least $20 billion from the first bond offering. That's according to Bloomberg. We also saw analysts at KeyBank Capital Markets initiate the stock with a recommendation of sector weight, writing that much of the long-term value is already captured in the stock price. Once again, SpaceX shares down today by 16.4%. And finally, watching shares of Netflix. They fell on Monday. The company extending a sell-off that's taken it to the lowest level in more than a year, down 5.8% today. At one point, it was the biggest intraday drop going back to April. The stock trading at its lowest going back to October of 2024. It's dropped more than 30% from a peak back in April. We did hear from Meta Platforms announcing that it's exploring new formats for its Instagram for TV platform. Once again, shares of Netflix down 5.8%.
And I'm just going to add one honorable mention, and that's Salesforce. It dropped for a 14th straight day,
Wow.
Tim. That's its longest losing streak since it went public. In fact, the entire software space, at least if you go by the IGV ETF out there, have been under pressure, continues to be under pressure. And then in the after hours trade, just a quick note here, Best Buy shares under pressure now after its CFO is said to be stepping down at the end of next month. Let's take a quick look at yields. We did see a bit of a sell-off in the bond market today that pushed yields higher across the curve, an almost parallel shift there, as you can see on your screen for our TV viewers, about 5 basis points higher on the 2-year, the 5-year, the 10-year, the 20-year, and the 30-year.